Piggy. Hi. I'm going to have you back. Yeah. It's hot. You're such an attention hog. Yeah.
Hello everyone, this is sort of a Sunday morning chit chat. It's early, it's overcast. Sure, it will be 103 today, but the lighting, I'm telling you, is the end of summer and fall is just around the corner and I couldn't be more excited. I feel like I've mentioned that already a couple of times in my videos. I'm just so excited, I can't wait. So anyways, I wanted to sort of talk about where I'm at with my journaling and planner system and so on and so forth. All right, so this year I started writing in the Midori B6 Slim size. I have now completed 6 of them. And after this 6th one, I just felt so restless, so uninspired to do any journaling at all. And I decided to switch it up. I started writing in a Leuchtturm A5 size journal, which is one of my old favorites. And the first day I was super inspired and I wrote pages and pages, and then the second day I was like, meh, not interested. I just didn't feel like writing. And I think part of that is I think part of it is just the cycle. There's an ebb and flow in the journaling process, and there are moments in which I write ferociously, and then there's moments in which I write less, and then every so often I don't feel like writing at all. I think the other part of that is that I have been really enjoying knitting, and so a lot of my downtime has been sort of reallocated to that. And lastly, I'm reading a book called Babel by R.F. Kuang, and oh my gosh, I love this book so much. It's been really enjoyable to read. Her writing is, wow, my mind blown. She's such a good writer. I don't know, I will talk about it in a book video in the future, but oh man. So that's also something I've been wanting to do more than writing. And anyways, and then I went back to the Midori B6 Slim and I was like, let's just make this work because I really like this size, I really like this paper, blah, blah, blah. And then there was a day where I just wrote a sentence, and then there was another day that I didn't write at all. And that's just kind of strange for me, and I don't feel entirely comfortable with it because I am such an avid journaler. Then I got a new planner system, which if any of you are interested in, let me know. I would be happy to talk about this. This is the Da Vinci planner system. It's a ring situation in which you can kind of customize your planner to fit whatever needs you have, which is really nice. I got this off of Yosaka Stationery, and it felt like a big leap of faith. It felt like a big risk because I've been using Hobonichi Weeks since like 2017 or 18. But the funny thing is, I really only use the month at a glance in the weeks. I just like the size, I like the covers. I'll use the back pages for notes, random notes and things. And occasionally I'll use the weeks part, but I just don't actually like the weeks part of the weeks. And so that's just like, that's silly. This one, I don't have to have the weeks. I can have the month at a glance as my priority and scrap paper and a checklist. And so I think this is going to work really well. I also like the fact that I can start at any time of the year because the month at a glance pages arrive blank, and then you fill in the dates and the months. So far, it's going really well. I've been really enjoying carrying this around. That's also kind of a big deal because I've never habitually carried a planner, and so it's usually just not on my person when potentially I need it, which is why I started planning in my main journal, because that I always have on hand. But this one, it's very grabbable, and I gravitate to it, and I want to take it with me. I like the way it feels. I like the size of it. And so then I was like, well, maybe I could, since I'm not really journaling a lot, maybe I could just do like a couple of updates, like more like a traditional diary of my day. So I record the date and the temperatures, what I'm reading, what I'm listening to, what I'm knitting, how I'm feeling, what I did that day, just super simple, super quick. And so there's like little segments of, a couple sentences per day, which I kind of like, but I don't know how long-lived this will be. It's still like, it's new, it's different, it's still, I don't know if it will really fill that niche of journaling. Oh, and I forgot to mention, I am still using the 5 years diary from Midori. This is my 3rd year, and I've been using it really consistently this year. Last year, I didn't use it hardly at all, but we've accepted that, and we're just moving forward. Then, okay, this is a really long story and a really roundabout way of telling you how I arrived here. So, just a couple of days ago, Fig had a seizure at 10 o'clock at night. We were just going to bed, and he started like looking a little funny and leaning against the wall, and then boom, collapsed and full on grand mal seizure, which was scary enough in of itself. He actually had one seizure about a year ago. And when that happened, we called the vets. They said, we're not really concerned unless if he has 3 or more in a day, or if they're over 3 minutes long. And so we never did anything about it, because it seemed like a one-off, and he hasn't had a seizure in over a year. And so he had another seizure. We thought, okay, maybe this will just be a one-off. Took him a little while to recover, but he finally did, and then he was looking very peaceful, and he fell asleep. We fell asleep, woke up at midnight to him having another seizure. And then he had 4 seizures back to back around midnight. We took him into the emergency room. At that point, after the 3rd seizure, he couldn't recover, and so he lost his ability to use his legs, and he was blind and super just kind of out of it and disoriented. It's really hard on the brain. And so we took him in. They kept him overnight and kept him for the following day. That day, I was home and just feeling so anxious, waiting to hear from the vet, wondering how he was doing, wondering what was going to happen, wondering if he'd be able to come home, wondering if he was alive, just like all these different feelings. And I couldn't get settled. I couldn't get into knitting. I couldn't get into reading. I was like, maybe I should bake cookies or something. I need something to focus my mind on to get me through this like weird limbo space. And then I realized, you know what? I have the solution. My typewriter. The typewriter might just be what I need right now. And to like have the energy to like pound out the keys would help like disperse some of that anxiety, or like even get it out a little bit. So I pulled out my typewriter and I just started writing, and boom, it clicked, and I was like, oh, okay, this is what we're doing again. We're gonna do a typewriting journal once again. I've done this in the past. There's been, cycles in which I've been really inspired to journal with my typewriter, and then it kind of like, again, ebbs and flows. So what I'm doing this time, I have had this folder for years now. I found it at a thrift store, and I don't even remember what I was usually using it initially for, but since getting into typewriters, it's become like my loose paper, typewriter paper folder. And so I have all these pages from random typewriter sessions where I just wrote. Some of them are stories, some of them are more journally related, some of them are exercises, some of them are just random typing away because I wanted to type and I didn't have anything else to say. but I only ever typed on one side of the sheet. So I'm going through this stack of used paper because I don't actually have any paper this size, and I thought about buying some, but I was like, you know what? We have a backside. So I'm going through and using the backside of all of these pages and typing my journal entries. And so that's what we're doing. This is kind of loosely volume 71 of my journaling. And I don't know if it will ever get organized in any different way. I think I kind of like the idea of it just sitting in that folder. And so that's what we're doing. We are typewriting journaling once again, and it feels really good. So thank you, Fig, for inspiring that typewriter session. By the way, just for a Fig update, he hasn't had any seizures since that night. He'll be on seizure medication for the rest of his life, unfortunately, it seems. He's recovered most of his abilities, except one of his eyes seems to still be blind, which is really like throwing his depth perception off, and he's just kind of uncertain and he's walking around kind of like a drunkard, and he tends to hug a certain side against walls so that he can kind of like follow the wall so he knows where he's going. And Brian and I were wondering, because he is a Greyhound, they have an unusual head shape. They have very narrow heads, and their skull it's called a dulcephalic skull, where their eyes kind of bulge out at the side, and so they can see their butt, basically, which is really amazing. They have a huge visual range. And so with one eye gone, what is his visual range now? How does he need both of those eyes to be able to see all the way back around his head? What is he seeing right now? Because he's just really unsure about where to step, and he's kind of clumsy, and he stumbles, and his balance just seems really bad. But we've been able to take him on a walk, and he's eating well, and for the most part is behaving pretty normally other than that. So I'm so glad that he's home again. I'm so glad that he's okay, and hopefully he will continue to be okay, and hopefully his sight will come back, and he won't have any more seizures. So anyways, that is our Sunday morning chit chat. Thank you all so much for watching and being here, and I hope you have a wonderful Sunday, and happy writing.